While covering this year's Fantastic Fest, I was able to check out VHS Beyond. Now, this is the 9th film in the franchise, which includes 2 spin-offs. It's been a while since I've seen one of these films, so what I want to do in today's video is give you my thoughts on the individual stories and also share a ranking with you all, from my least favorite to my favorite. By the end, I'll let you know if VHS Beyond is worth checking out. My least favorite story is the frame narrative. Now, if you've seen the VHS films before, you know that there are individual stories, but they're all connected to this main story. The main story, which was called Abduction, was just so bad to me. The breaks in between really took away from any intrigue it was building, and once you see the final scene and the big reveal, it was just kind of terrible to me. It wasn't a great framing device to connect all the overall stories. Next on my list is Stowaway. Now, I'm a big fan of Kate Siegel, who makes her directorial debut here, and also her husband, Mike Flanagan, who wrote this particular short story. Unfortunately, it just didn't work for me. While it looked really good, probably the best looking of the short films, narratively speaking, I just wasn't attached to the story. It didn't really go anywhere, and once we get to the part with the aliens and our main character, it was just disappointing to me. Next on my list is the short film called Saint. This one is probably one of my favorites when it comes to action, as it has the most action of any of the films. I want to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but basically, it's about these police officers investigating babies being taken, which leads them to this house. From there, I'll just say the action was really fun, reminding me of a zombie video game like Resident Evil. There's also a wild reveal involving babies feeding into something. Next up is the film called Dream Girl. Without giving too much away, we follow 2 cinematographers who are having a bad day and trying to get some behind-the-scenes footage of a very popular Hollywood superstar. They end up getting some behind-the-scenes footage, and what they find is very menacing. This was a lot of fun. There's a dance sequence that I did not expect to go that long. And once you get the reveal of who the star is, it gets pretty brutal. I loved all the carnage. Next is Live and Let Die. The basic idea is that this is a gentleman celebrating his 30th birthday. He and his friends and fiancé are going on a skydiving trip, and during the jump, there's an alien invasion. All I'll say is the skydiving sequence was a lot of fun, and there's a truck scene that I thought was visually impressive. Speaking of visuals, one of the weakest elements of this story was the aliens and the visual effects. For most of the action, it didn't look that great, but overall, it was a really fun story. My number 1 film in VHS Beyond is called Fur Babies. This is brought to us by Justin Long and his brother, and all I'll say is I did not expect a certain reveal. This one was dark, sinister, and the only story that had nothing to do with aliens, and I was okay with that. If you've seen Tusk, which was directed by Kevin Smith and starred Justin Long, let's just say this is kind of a spiritual sequel. You will not expect what you see in this film. It's very messed up, but in a good way. Overall, I would say VHS Beyond was my first time watching one of these in a very long time, and while I didn't like how some of the stories were ordered, or how strong the theme was compared to some of the previous VHS films, there's still some fun to be had. There are some really fun segments, like I mentioned earlier, and Gary is the MVP. Overall, Fur Babies was super entertaining and very memorable. These films are meant to be fun, and I'm really excited to see more from Kate Siegel. She's going to direct more things. Justin Long and his brother also contributed some fun segments. As far as what to expect from great directors in the future, there's a lot to look forward to. So, overall, it's a fun time. I wouldn't say it's the best VHS of all time, but again, there are some fun sequences, a lot of blood, and a lot of carnage. That's my thoughts on VHS Beyond. Once you all have seen it, let me know your thoughts on the segments. How would you rate them? Also, if you've seen all the VHS movies, which one is your favorite? Let's talk about it all in the comments below.